Cheers! Welcome to MovieBitches. Episode 245. Tonight we're reviewing Love, Weddings, and Other Disasters. The Other Disasters
I was going to say,
this movie.
An appropriate title. There is love, weddings, and it's a disaster. So then there you go.
And it's a disaster. First things first, though, shout out to our wine sponsor, Wink. Go to trywink.com/moviebitches. You get $22 off your first month of wine. Yay!
If you drink it out of a mug, no one knows. It's just
no one knows.
It's just tea. It's just tea.
Second thing second, make sure to subscribe, share, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, click that thumbs up button, all that good stuff. Oh boy. Okay, so let's get into it.
Oh boy. Okay, so the latest, well, I hesitate to call this a Diane Keaton movie because she is barely in it. But
barely.
Let's just say the latest Diane Keaton movie came out, so I said, obviously I will be watching it with my mother. And I will say this, she's great. Love that bitch. Love her. Wearing this hat for her. Fuck, the movie was terrible, but the turtlenecks were on point. The big slouchy bell pants, loved it. Her apartment, yes. That was
full yes.
That was pretty much the extent of it. Now I will say, Jeremy Irons, I love the waistcoats. He was there speaking in his voice. That was about it, though. Those were the only positives, really, at all. But Diane.
The Diane part of it for me was complicated by the fact that they were having her play a blind person in a not particularly sensitive way.
Oh no. This movie felt like it was written in 1993 and was released in 2002. But somehow it was written and released within the last few years and came out in 2020 somehow.
Well, we don't know when it was written.
That's true. Although we do know that Larry Miller was 1/3 of the screenwriters, which, kind of makes sense. Larry Miller is, how would you know Larry Miller? He's the dad.
Oh, I looked
He's
it
the
up.
dad from 10 Things.
In 10 Things in. Yeah.
It's a very famous
so that's
comedian.
the thing. Okay. So first off, saw the trailer for this.
Oh, yeah.
Averill was like, oh my God, Diane Keaton, Jeremy Irons, 1,000% in. And I was like, I don't know, Averill. This looks like full garbage.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it looked terrible, but Diane Keaton is there, and Jeremy Irons, and their waistcoats and their high turtlenecks. They are two of the most dapper people. Because,
yes.
Talk about, of course, Diane Keaton has the style of the century, and, yes, she had her own costumer in the credits, and Miss Keaton's, yes, of course. But Jeremy Irons also always looks dapper. I feel like he also brings his own style and stylist to every movie he makes.
Perhaps. He was great, loved them. Unfortunately, the movie was nothing to do with them at all, really. And that was the problem. So, okay. I blame you. I hated this movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was not good.
I don't know if I've hated a movie as much in recent memory.
Wow.
And I watched Trial of the Chicago 7.
Just
as white, but much better movie.
I haven't seen Trial of the Chicago 7, but I'll say this. This at least wasn't in any way pretentious or trying to be good. Oh. It was, it achieved what it was attempting, which was a bad rom-com, cheesy comedy. Feels like some Gary Marshall Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve nonsense. With
yes,
there's
but a bad version of that.
I mean, those movies are bad.
Not that those were good.
Andrew.
That's what I'm saying.
Those movies are bad.
Whoa.
This is worse. But in that there are upwards of 1,300 characters that we meet, and know nothing about any of them, barely. And it's like if Love Actually fundamentally did not work on any level whatsoever and was an utter dated and tone-deaf disaster.
Yep.
Basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Diane, but the hats and the turtlenecks.
Oh my God.
It's like the lowest hanging fruit Every joke is the lowest hanging fruit. Oh, there's a band. Oh, an Asian woman named Yoni is breaking up the band. You know, just like, wow. And everything is like that. Like, what's the most obvious thing? Let's do that.
Absolutely. This movie brought up questions for me.
Okay.
So it's directed and written by the director of Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Ninja, which Sundance not too long ago, you and I still were cracking up
as that being funny if you're drunk and it's late.
Yes.
Big Daddy, which potentially is bad in retrospect, but at the time I remember being great. So like, I don't know. But he also did Grown Ups 2, I Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, Don't Mess with the Zohan, Jack and Jill, you know, the worst movie that's ever happened.
But so that's why, again, I was like, I'm almost surprised that Adam Sandler couldn't get them like a fucking deal with Netflix and produce it with them and call it a.
I'm more surprised that like even one of the Adam Sandler crew didn't show up. Like this cast.
Did they have a falling out?
I have no idea. But like the fact that Rob Schneider didn't show up to like be the host of that game show, because the director played the host of the game show. That actor is the same person.
Right. With all of the offensive jokes.
Absolutely. It just felt so dated. I was just like, oh, I feel like I've traveled back in time to when I was in like high school and this stuff was like okay to say, and I'm like, oh.
Because it's clear that this man has not progressed at all since 1989. And I'm like, this is weird.
It's weird.
94?
Although, yes, I would say just like just push it forward slightly. But it's weird to me almost that this movie not worse. Like, why does Dennis Dugan want to make this movie? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was trying to be a sweet, on some level, a sweet rom-com of a huge cast of characters. I guess we should try and
the
plot?
Break down the plot.
Well, there's...
The plot is that
it's Love Actually not at Christmas in Boston.
Yeah.
And all of these people are connected-ish. Yeah. So you spend the first 45 minutes with scattered pieces of scenes of people that you meet and then don't see again for a long time.
Which also means that it's 45 minutes of jam-packed dialogue full of exposition.
Well, nothing made sense. Okay, so Maggie Grace, I guess, is the lead?
Yeah.
Her haircut was her entire personality.
We're supposed to believe that she was dating a man, which was already...
With this haircut? Yeah, I was surprised as well. I thought that was going to be like what was going on, that like, that's why she can't quite, make it work with a guy, because she's obviously in love with the bride of the wedding that she's planning, and they will run away together.
They did seem to have more chemistry.
It'll just be a twist on The Graduate. And they'll run off together, and then, oh no, the mayor got left at the altar,
Right.
It'll be like the headline, the credits are headlines.
Right.
Newspaper headlines, because this movie's 20 years old. Newspaper headlines of, mayor left at altar.
I mean, that's still stupid, but no. Anyway, oh boy, it starts with her and the whole falling out. They're skydiving.
He breaks up with her mid-skydive, and then his parachute. Well, okay, I have a lot. Are we getting into it? Are we getting into the details? First of all, if you've never skydived. If you've never skydived before, they don't let you just go by yourself. Right. You are attached to a person who has been certified, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, that was my first question. Then
Thank you.
They jump. She pushes him out of a plane, and we're skydiving. It's great. Seems like a bad idea. Then his parachute doesn't work. There's a backup. There's always a backup pole thing because of. I haven't even been skydiving, and I know these things. So then he has to hold on to her and use her parachute, and then they're falling and he's breaking up with her, and he says, just get me to the ground as fast as I can so I can break up with you. And she's like, fine, fuck you, because they're over a lake. He drops into the water, then wedding crashes, a wedding that's on a dock as she's skydiving, and then it becomes like an internet meme. She's the wedding trasher. The real question...
Also, why wouldn't she just be the wedding crasher?
Because that's
because
copyrighted.
She literally crashed into the...
It's copyrighted.
I don't think
you get a cease and desist letter. No, they were clever. She was a wedding trasher. And okay, but here's my real question. Okay. The next time we see her, first of all, she should have killed Jeremy Irons. She runs into an elderly man on a scooter. He is knocked to the ground. I'm like, he's going to the hospital. You have just
he's broken.
You have just like seriously and permanently damaged a beloved actor. And she's like, oh my God. La. Anyway, the next time we see her, she's auditioning to be the wedding planner for the mayor of the man who's running for the mayor of Boston. Why would you have your wedding so close to the election date? Questions. I had so many, just logic leap questions. Like, wait, what? So anyway, so Maggie Grace. So then we find out she's auditioning to be the wedding planner. We find out this is her first wedding planning job? After she
did
her cousin's or
wedding.
Something. But after she has been labeled the wedding trasher, as if that was the catalyst for her wanting to become a wedding planner?
Well, it seemed like apparently she was a florist because she was like, I'm here for the florist gig. And we see her, I think, walk out of a floral shop.
I missed that.
But
I missed that completely.
Was buried. Because who cared? But it was so weird. And it was the entire time you're just confused. You're like, well, do you even want this job? Oh, you're just going to roll with it? What's happening? You don't have the skills, but she has an architect's plan tote for her.
And she draws up a...
I couldn't even. I was like, what is this nonsense? Who was pulling out architectural, CAD drawings? It's like a fucking blueprint for a goddamn wedding reception. What are we talking about?
We don't need to we kind of need to get into some of it. I mean, there's so many characters. There's Maggie Grace, the wedding planner. There's the mayor of Boston. There's his
wife, who's wild.
Who's wild and crazy. There's the mayor of Boston's chief of staff lady.
Who's a bad actress.
I was confused because she had a vaguely Eastern European accent, maybe, or something.
That seemed like she was
going
doing
to tie
the same
into the
accent
stripper.
as the other girl.
I thought it was going to be like, Olga, my long-lost sister, or something, because that was this movie. Everyone in Russia's related, so they would be, long-lost sisters. That just tracked, but it never happened.
That wasn't it.
Then there's Jeremy Irons, the uptight OCD wedding planner? Caterer. They call him a caterer, but he's doing all the floor plan stuff.
Yeah.
Centerpiecing.
It seems like he's a wedding planner, but also a caterer /
She calls him a caterer, so I was thoroughly confused.
I don't know. So he has this whole OCD thing of that wine glass. First of all, he's concerned about these shitty Libby glass wine glasses. And I'm like, what's going on, buddy? The crystal, he called it. And I was like, that is not crystal.
With black tablecloths.
Oh, gross. Anyway, this one's half an inch too close to the edge of the table. I really noticed. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And then his friends come up and they're like, hey,
we meet him.
Long time no see, buddy.
Then we meet his friends who we never see again.
Who literally are just like, hey, we haven't seen you in a while.
We are your best friends.
Working.
That's what they say. They go, hey, we are your best friends, Jeremy Irons. You haven't dated since your wife died 5 years ago. You are OCD. Also this. Also, we set you up on a date. Also, here she is. It was insane.
It was insane.
We fix a lunch for you.
What?
A blind date.
Did they not tell you about me?
They mentioned a blind date.
Literally the idea alone that they would come to his place of work and be like, hey, we're ambushing you and we're going to talk to you about having a date. Inappropriate.
Inappropriate,
not okay.
First of all.
But then to go further and be like, here's your date. She's, one, literally blind. Didn't tell you that. Secondly, she's now here. And thirdly, she just crashed into your table of no one was helping her.
She had her dog. So then Diane Keaton shows up as his blind date, who in fact is blind, because this movie is that movie. That joke encapsulates this film.
Yep.
She shows up, knocks over a giant pyramid of champagne glasses, which was the centerpiece. Now, this was a real question I had. I assumed because she kept bumping into everything that she was recently blinded because she was, not used to it. Not that, people who have been blind for a long time can't be surprised by things, but it just seemed like she was so clumsy that it seemed like the thing was that she had been recent. But no, we find out like she had been blind since she was 20. I feel like it was this. Wouldn't it be funny if a person with OCD fell in love with someone who was clumsy and blind? I think that was the joke. I think it was like, they're opposites.
Yeah.
Haha.
Right. Well, because that was supposedly a theme in this. I think that's actually interesting that you bring that up. Because there's the whole game show, which we'll get to if we have to.
That was the most dated part of the entire movie. I was like agape.
But also there's this whole subtext, I guess, of opposites attract.
Yes.
Right? The mayor and his crazier bride, right?
I'm rock and roll and he's classic.
Right. The game show is all opposites, right? Oh, here's a little person and a very tall woman. Isn't that hilarious? And it's like, oh my God. But anyway.
I'm not laughing at the joke. I'm laughing at how fucking stupid it was.
It was so fucking stupid. I really was just, ugh.
Right, so it's this game show called Couple Crashers or something like that.
Sure.
And the Dennis Dugan is the host and he's just very mean. Like he was just like an outright asshole to the contestants.
Yeah.
But not in a fun way, just in a mean, offensive way. The whole conceit of the game show is, now this could have been, they could have been the main characters and it would have made more sense, but alas, no. They are gonna have opposite couples be literally tethered to each other by a long chain and whoever can stay together the longest wins $1 million. And that's happening too, also.
Right.
Just had to clarify those are the
and
rules of the game.
And it's all so stupid.
Oh my God, it's terrible.
And tedious. So quick commercial break, and we will be back with more Diane Keaton.
I thought you were going to say more disasters.
Well, there will definitely be more disasters.
What was that? What was that movie? Love and Other Drugs? Was that Love?
Yeah.
Something? Like
Love and Other Drugs.
When Anne Hathaway got that perm and Jake Gyllenhaal was in it. Anyway, I thought those titles, I mixed them up. Anyway.
Oh, I found this so miserable to watch. I wish I could have just left.
I kept on being like, not fascinated because I wasn't that invested, but I was just like, oh, what's this? Well, clearly this will go, oh, but now we're meeting a boat captain of a riverboat tour guide person. Clearly this will, nope. Oh, and he's now in love with this person because, oh, nope. Okay, and now this is happening. And also, oh, she's a lawyer. Nope, she's a stripper. Oh, did we mention that the Russian mob is also part of this film? Like, it was just so kind of like,
And then there's all these interstitials of just like 30-second musical performances in the park.
Oh, right. Okay, so another plus, that was Elle King. I thought her songstressing and songs were nice. It didn't make any sense in the context of the movie, but the actual like songs and her voice, nice.
Yeah.
It's a little distraction from the stereotypes and nonsense. So then, we meet the riverboat captain and the news lady who's going to do a report on him and her parents and the woman with the Cinderella slippers tattooed on her neck. And then also the band that's having interpersonal drama within the band because Yoko Ono is breaking up the band. I mean, it was just so, I was just like, and now this. Huh. Okay, great, interesting. What exactly? We are introduced to Maggie Grace's cousin and her friend because we needed to know them, and then they are no longer in the film. I was shocked at the number of characters. Utterly
baffled. The cast
baffled.
in this movie is insane. Like the
literal
sheer
numbers,
quantity.
not the actors, just like the number of people that are given names. Because my mom wanted to know, she liked the guitar player guy. She thought he was cute. She was like, who was he? We're looking at the credits, and it's just first names. And it's like Annie, Dave, Daniel, Eric, Don. It was just like, and I'm like, I literally have no idea, Mom. I could not tell you. We can try and, we ended up figuring it out, but it was a toughie. That was Was that? Oh no, that was the other person. Oh, maybe it was, no, that was the brother that had gambling debt. Okay. Was it him? No.
I felt the same in this movie, and maybe it's because I watched them on the same day, but I felt the same in this movie as I did in Princess Switch 2 was, good God, why is this not over yet? Can I just leave?
I was more entertained by this because Jeremy Irons, Diane Keaton, turtlenecks.
Duh.
I thought that Elle King had a nice voice. I wasn't literally
Sure.
bored. I was not entertained, but I was not bored by what was happening. Because I was like, oh, and now here we are at this coffee shop. Oh, and now here we are over here. It was like an ADD movie where Princess with Shoe was just...
Did you just say princess with shoe?
Where Princess with Shoe was just... No, I said Princess Switched too, but, you know, the Princess Wish of the shoe. That was a plot point in this movie. We met all those women that got... He was so sexy, the tour guide, that they all came to, and he bought a glass slipper because, it was like the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Also, she left. Okay, so there's like a tour guide on one of those cars that's also a boat. He's annoying. So he was like one of those tour guide, like it was like a tour from hell where you're like, oh no, your improv comedy career didn't work out and you became a tour guide and now I'm stuck on a bus with you for 3 hours. It was that. And
he's going off and I was like, this is my worst nightmare.
Nightmare. I was like, this is why I don't like tours. I like to do things on my own. No, ma'am. He's flirting with this woman that apparently is love at first sight for him. He, at the end of the tour, is like, I got to get one more chime before midnight with Cinderella. He said something like he's trying to flirt with her. She obviously leaves the bus knowing that he has wanted to talk to her and actively leaves the scene, fleeing. And then he is still, can't imagine it, is heartbroken. They've met for 5 minutes and they do a news story about, oh, I have to find my Cinderella. And I'm like, no wonder this woman didn't show up. And at the end, I thought it was going to be the maid of honor. Like it was going to be like, oh, my sister has a tattoo of Cinderella's glass slipper on her neck. It wasn't that bad, but she's just a cater waiter. And she seems, mildly excited to see him at the end, but obviously like, I'm at work.
Right. And he's so over-the-toply emoting depression about it. It's just like,
very
my
strange.
life can't go on now that I can't find my Cinderella. And I'm like, dude, you didn't even talk to her. She was on your tour guide bus and maybe responded to your awkward flirting with like kindness, but that's about it. This is creepy, predatory.
And then she
not
fled.
Okay.
She actively looked him in the eyes as he said, wait, I want to talk to you. And she fled the scene. So I thought that was
like,
just, oh, no thanks.
He did not know how to read the room. And I'm like, this is, it's creepy.
Yeah, that tour was my nightmare. What was that thing where the tour guide guy, he was going through all the women with the tattoos, and then he was like, oh, Mark Wahlberg, you're here. But it wasn't Mark Wahlberg.
But it wasn't.
And I don't even think it was Donnie. It was just a guy that like vaguely looked
sort of
like a Wahlberg, but like not enough to be like, oh, am I surprised? I was really confused. Is it because they were in Boston? I was really confused by that.
I think that's what it was.
Like, I was genuinely... Now, if it had been Donnie and that was the joke, sure.
Right.
That was a head scratcher for me. And then another simply infuriating thing. So they're all late to the wedding because it's that movie. And they get on... Now, this drove me crazy. They get on a horse-drawn carriage and they start to drive away. And then her dress is tangled in the spokes. And she says, what happened? And I've said, what happened? Bitch, you put your train over the wheel spoke. Like, that is on you. That is on you. You were in charge of
I don't know why you would not have made sure that the train and bustle was all inside. All your hands and arms are inside of the carriage.
Thank you very much. Then, I had so many questions about the scene. Then Maggie Grace, her wedding planner, gets in the carriage with her as if it's her maid of honor. And I was like, what's going on here? That is not a thing that would happen. Leaves all of her bridesmaids to fend for themselves? ? I don't know. Then Maggie Grace gets out, tries to untangle the dress, can't. Then a bike messenger rickshaw guy comes by and he's like, I'll give you a ride. Cut to, they got her dress free and it's fine. It was just fine. There was never a talk of it. They didn't cut it.
There's no
it didn't have horse shit on it. It wasn't greased up. It was just fine. Really got me. That really bothered me on a deep level.
Yeah.
So not good. Bad.
No.
I found it somewhat bafflingly intriguing because it was just so crazy. Like, I just couldn't grasp how many characters were being just thrust at me and then to be never seen again, or the characters we did see again was given no further development whatsoever at all.
You could say in some ways it's like a intriguing journey in a time machine to a bad movie from 1996.
Yeah.
I would in no way recommend it. And I would say that there's a lot of better things that you could watch.
Sure.
If you wanted to watch it and just be like, wow, this is a train wreck.
Yeah.
You could.
For me, it was a somewhat fascinating train wreck because I was just like, the datedness, the amount of characters, the poor storytelling, plus Diane and Jeremy and those turtlenecks.
Well, plus Diane and Jeremy, of
The
course.
dueling turtlenecks when they both had, and I was just like, oh my God. And they were fun together. I felt like they had chemistry. I felt like in a better movie, I would have like loved them together. I would say you could watch it and just watch those scenes and then
Well, that's true too. Yeah, if you can watch it in a way to fast forward. Yeah.
Because that's like a 13-minute movie with them.
Right.
You know, it's a little short. Oh, that was just short. About a man who was uptight and he met a woman and she loosened him up. I mean, her photography thing was kind of wacky, schmacky, but nice on some level. She was like a blind photographer who then recorded what she heard when taking the photograph, and then there was like a little speech button at the bottom, and it would say so you could experience it how she experienced it, and you can see the photograph. I was like, that was kind of cool.
Yes, it was an interesting little thing. It was a nice little button for her.
Yeah.
This felt like if an old, out-of-touch, straight white dude tried to make a Nancy Meyers Love Actually movie.
Yeah, no, it felt Gary Marshall-y to me. It felt Mother's Day to me.
Fair.
Where you're just like, the choices of this.
That's true. It was much more Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, and less Love Actually.
But without the cast.
That's true.
I mean, because they really,
Right.
like, it was like starring, Diane, Keaton, and Jeremy, and they are literally in 13 minutes of the film. So yeah, as a soft recommend for those 13 minutes is what I would say. For those, Don't pay money for it, though. Yeah. Maybe I'll just, once it's out for a while, I'll just cut together those scenes and we can just make a short film of it.
A highlight reel.
Would be great. So, cheers. Cheers to Diane and Jeremy.
Sure.
And the hats and the turtlenecks and the pants and the apartment.
Yes.
Worth the price of a free watch online.
Yeah.